So, tell me something terrible. You never take allergy med. I'm going to stop taking my insulin. If you can't,
one seems much more
if you can't
important
nut
than
up
the other.
and start taking an allergy pill once a day, one teeny tiny little, like you could huff it pill, I'm going to stop taking insulin.
I feel like they're not equitable.
Well, your sniffing's insufferable. And
and you with lower high blood sugar is also insufferable.
if I don't take insulin, it's going to be super fucking high.
Yeah.
And then I'll be dead. And then you'll be like, man, I should have really taken those allergy pills. See? Life lessons. You didn't realize life lessons meant someone had to give a life for you to learn a lesson. That's what that actually means.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. A life for a life.
A life for a life lesson.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. All right. You ready to actually start then?
Maybe. Okay. You'll take a fucking allergy pill. Just kidding. Yeah, we get to start.
Hi, I'm Tiffany.
Hi, I'm Scott.
You're listening to Tell Me Something Terrible.
Yeah, you are. You got to talk into the mic, homie.
I'm sorry. It just
okay.
escalated so quickly.
It wasn't that quickly. I'm just,
You just went from like yawning to being like, and you're going to collect a life insurance policy soon if you don't take a goddamn allergy pill.
Right?
Which might be worth it. Just kidding. I love you so much.
Anyway, I'm just saying for the betterment of the people.
Okay.
There's a rock. It's a rock.
Did you get it off? Get your rocks off?
Yep, right off the table.
Don't do that out in public where everyone can see on the table.
Anyway, what are we talking about today? Some horrible societal, applicable to today crime?
No.
Against the people? No?
No.
Okay, good.
I mean, it's against a town.
That's fine.
Okay. We talked about this on one of the many road trips we've taken the last few months. And I was like, how haven't you heard about that? Is it the
Flaming River?
No, I was so mad.
So it's something...
now you gotta spoil it for everybody.
That's fine.
So when I do
so this is about
Cuyahoga River, everyone's gonna know that it caught on fire.
I think Jamie will particularly appreciate the Cuyahoga River one. Oh, hold on.
Wait.
That reminds me. We have a shout out.
Yes, we do.
We have a new patron.
Yes, we do.
Patron.
Yes. Sure.
Tiffany Armour?
Yes.
If you didn't want to say your last name, sorry.
And
you gave it, so we said...
it's not a doppelganger. It's a real person.
Yeah, it's not you. That'd be funny. You're like, oh, I'm going to make one. Put in first name Tiffany. Shit, I should make it different. No.
That's actually my stripper name.
Yes. So thank you, Tiffany Armour. We greatly appreciate it.
We do.
And every time we get a new one, it we get a lot of emails like stats and all that shit, but the patron ones are way more exciting.
They are very exciting.
Yeah.
And we appreciate the hell out of it. And we appreciate about, our listeners and the ones that always share.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like everything. Yeah, it's really cool.
So
anyway, appreciate it.
Yep.
We also have been putting way more visual content out there on the TikTok and the YouTube shorts.
Hashtag shameless plugging.
So if you want to follow us there, you can. If you want to see our faces, connect the audio. Usually they come out after you've already heard the audio. So if you want to see us, try not to laugh into the mic too loud. Well, I don't laugh out loud.
Or we you into the mic too loud.
Yeah. Anyway.
That was embarrassing on every level.
All right, back to your story.
Okay.
But anyway, no, I was just going to say because Jamie lived in Akron, he probably would appreciate the flaming Cuyahoga River story.
Yeah, I was really upset when we went to the little outpost on the river when we were down there at the national park. For those of you who care, that's our goal, is to knock off every national park. And you started reading it, and because I knew it was Ohio, I knew it was a river in Ohio. I didn't know it was that river, but it was on my list to do. And you read like internationally infamous for its pollution, and I was like, oh no. And I didn't stop you before you kept going, and then you're like, the last time I caught on fire, and I was like, shit. No, you ruined it for yourself.
If you had asked me if there was a famous river in Ohio before we went, I would have been like, probably not, unless
there's the.
Oh, okay. Yes.
There's the Ohio River.
Is that famous, or even infamous for anything? I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna look up the Ohio River Killer or something, and then be like, oh,
this is the Green River Killer.
Where's Green River at?
I don't know, but he's mentioned in my episode.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, just offhandedly.
Should we get to said episode?
Yes, we should. So it's a topic that you are insistent that you have not heard. It is a famous topic because you got to do those every once in a while. Everybody and their brother has covered it.
Okay.
So, in 1976, in a sleepy, painfully stereotypical Midwest town whose claim to fame is their annual pumpkin festival.
Is it Tecumseh?
No.
That's the Apple-Lumpkin Festival.
Yeah, that's the Apple-Lumpkin. They had to make it a little different.
Yeah.
So it is called Circleville, Ohio.
Circleville?
Yes.
Okay.
Have you heard of this yet?
Is he called the Circle Jerk? No, he's not. Sorry. That'd be a really bad serial killer name from Circleville.
He's not a serial killer, but that I feel like they really missed out on an opportunity.
Yeah, they need a marketing team. We're available. We're cheap.
So, Mary Gillespie.
That's how every person that
All
I've
right.
ever seen.
Mary Gillespie.
Is it Gillis Pie?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Gillespie.
Gillespie.
Yeah.
You think I'd know because I've literally heard a half a dozen podcasts on this, and I'm like, nah, fuck it.
Gillespie.
It just goes in one ear,
Nailed it.
out the other.
Yeah.
So Mary Gillespie received a letter postmarked from Columbus with no return address.
Okay.
The letter read, Mrs. Gillespie.
Gillespie.
Nailed it.
Gillespie?
Gillespie? Mrs. G.
You're putting the S after the P?
Gillespie? I am.
Yeah.
I went to college.
Yeah. For dyslexics?
So, Mrs. G, stay away from
Mary. Just call her Mary.
No, because this is the quote.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Mrs. Gillespie.
Gillespie.
Mrs. Gillespie. Why is this so hard for me?
I don't know.
Guys.
Get it together.
I had one drink 40 minutes ago.
Yeah. You're
Anyway.
wasted.
Clearly, I wasted. Just lightweight now.
Yeah.
So, Mrs. G, stay away from Massey. Don't lie when questioned about meeting him. I know where you live. I've been observing your house and know you have children. This, no joke. Please take it serious. Everyone concerned has been notified. It will, W-I-L, be over soon. In all capital letters, these big, clunky, squared off, very distinct handwriting.
Okay.
So 8 days later, she received a second letter.
Does she know who Massey is?
Massey? Mr. Massey?
Yeah.
We're going to get to it.
Okay.
So 8 days later, she received a second letter telling her that the letter writer was, observing the house and that she needed to stop and end this affair that she was having with Mr. Massey,
Okay.
who is the superintendent of the school that she works for as a school bus driver.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I was expecting to be a teacher. I was not expecting a school bus driver.
No, school bus driver. They have a lot of free time, school bus drivers. There's like a big empty chunk in between, where they drop kids off and pick kids up.
Yeah.
There's a big chunk of empty time. Teachers are way too busy for that.
Way too busy.
So Mary decided to keep this outrageous, inflammatory letters to herself until her husband received his first letter 2 weeks later. Ronnie G, showed his wife his letter, which read, Mr. Gillespie. Nailed it. It only took 10 tries.
I'm assuming that's what it is.
Yeah. It sounds right. It said, Mr. Gillespie, your wife is... Did I fuck it up again?
No.
Oh, good. Your wife is seeing Gordon Ramsay.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
She's famous.
It's fucking raw. Sorry.
What are you? I'm an idiot sandwich. So your wife is seeing Gordon Massey, not Ramsey. This is going to go so well. Best telling of this story ever.
Yes.
You should catch them together and kill them both.
Oh.
He doesn't deserve to live.
Okay. Is this his wife?
Yeah.
No, I meant
Ron and
Massey's wife.
No, we don't. Just
okay.
Listen.
I'm trying to figure. I'm backpedaling here to see who this could be. Anyway,
we're
proceed.
So you haven't heard of this yet?
No.
Okay. So if he didn't end the affair, then he would be in danger. So if he didn't make her stop.
Oh, if he didn't
Massey,
murder them, he was going to be in danger.
Yes. So
okay.
Mary finally admitted to Ron that she had gotten these letters because she had kept them hush hush up until this point.
Yes.
A fight ensued. Why didn't you show me your letters? You think that an accusation regarding an affair and a threat to their entire family's livelihood would kind of be something you should
bring it up maybe after dinner.
Yeah.
Away from the kids. Yeah.
Mention it. So anyway, the Gillespies, I'm going to be just gun shy to say the last name.
Just hold it back.
They were the first in town to receive these letters, and after a couple of weeks, the pair had had enough. The pair continued to receive these letters separately. To Ron, to Ron, the letters... Oh, gosh, I left out a quote. Oh, no, I left out a quote.
Oh, no. Hold on. If anybody listening has the last name Gillespie, please be a patron, even the dollar one, and I'll make her shout you out just to stumble over it. Or even if that's not your name. I think you can put in any name you want on Patreon.
Every patron from now on out is going to have the last name. We get
$6 patrons, yes. Yeah. I'm about to just do that anyway.
Just to ruin my night.
Anyone who's a Gillespie that joins, Tiff's reading
it. So these letters were sent separate. They were getting a bunch. They were escalating to like, we're going to kill you, blah, 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 blah. So the Gillespies only told 3 people about these letters. It was Ron's sister, Karen Sue, and her husband.
That's my mom's name.
Oh my God, it literally is.
Okay. I have an uncle Ron, other side.
Oh, good. Ugh.
Yeah.
So Ron's sister, Karen, was told, and then her husband, Paul Freshour, and Karen Sue's brother.
Okay.
So they all came up with a plan, and they thought that they had an idea of who the letter writer might be, so Paul wrote and sent a threatening letter back, and those letters had stopped for a short while.
Okay.
And then
wait, these were getting sent with a return address?
No.
Then how do you send it back?
Because they were suspicious. They had an idea. They're like, we think it might be this person. We're going to send them a letter.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like it had like an address up in the corner.
Nope.
Like, who is this moron?
Nope. The letters, when you look at the envelopes that were sent, it literally has the address to whoever the receiver is, and then the stamp, like the timestamp of the postage stamp.
Yeah.
Like the little like, hey, this got sent out from Columbus, and then no return address.
Yeah. Okay, that makes more sense.
Yep. So everything was kind of cool, like chill-ish. They still get like letters every once in a while until August 1977, because they also had an influx of phone calls. So this phone call, though, while Mary and her sister were en route to a trip to Florida, Ron got a phone call from the letter writer, which was happening all across the town. At this point, it was no longer just the Gillespies that were getting harassed.
Okay.
He had finally had enough. He grabbed his gun, told his daughter he was going to take care of the letter writer because he was still suspicious. He thought he knew who it was.
Yeah.
Because at this point, there were like mail was getting searched and intercepted at the post office.
Yeah.
There was wiretaps on people's homes.
Or they already informed the cops about it at this point? Okay.
Yep. There was an ongoing investigation at this point because it's been happening for a year now.
Yeah.
So he thought he knew who it was. So he grabbed his gun, hopped in his truck, told his daughter, deuces, I'm going to go take care of this.
Yeah.
And then he took off in a rage. A few minutes later, just past an intersection that he drove through on the reg, Ron lost control of his truck, hit a tree, and died.
Okay.
Yep. His gun was missing one bullet and was found underneath him. No clue where that bullet went.
Okay.
Yep. No one knows if he was shooting at anyone. No one knows what happened to it.
Did he shoot his airbag trying to get out?
Maybe. They never found it. So it was like just a regular like a pistol with a 6-shot.
Yeah.
One was missing. So it was determined also that Ron's BAC, the blood alcohol content,
okay, yeah.
was is it 0.16 or 0.16? It's a 0.16, right?
Sure.
Whatever's double the legal limit.
I believe, I think 0.08.
Yep, 0.08 is legal limit. So it was twice that at 0.16.
Okay.
Which was shocking because the daughter was like, no, he wasn't drinking. And his entire family kept proclaiming that he wasn't much of a drinker at all, let alone a heavy drinker to have double the blood alcohol content.
Okay.
Yeah. So initially, Circleville's Sheriff Radcliffe, told Paul, the brother-in-law, that it was super sus. There was probably foul play. But Sheriff Radcliffe eventually decided that it was an accident after he brought in a suspect who passed his polygraph test.
Okay.
So eventually, Mary did admit to having started a relationship with Mr. Massey, but both insist that it didn't happen until after the letter writing had started and after Ron's death.
Okay, sure.
So, the letter maker's quite the matchmaker.
Yeah. She's like, you know what? I think I will go have an affair with that Massey fella.
So eventually, the letter writing campaign turned into a deluge. Anywhere between hundreds to thousands, depending on the reports you read, of letters started flooding into the town, written not only to the Gillespies and the superintendent that Mary was accused of having an affair with, but it spilled over into other townspeople, city officials, and into other southern Ohio counties. Okay. So it was getting bigger. Mm-hmm. Each letter threatening...
Just put it in the newspaper at this point.
Each letter was threatening, and it was full of rumors and accusations and personal tea that was being spilled all over the place. And
misspells and bad punctuation.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, there's no apostrophes, nothing.
Okay.
So this happened for 18 years.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Locals were handing in letters to the police with claims of more affairs, embezzlement, domestic violence, even murders.
Okay.
Yeah. The letter writer was airing all the dirty laundry.
Okay.
So the letter writer also escalated their threats to Mary, targeting her daughter, saying, quote, "It's your daughter's turn to pay for what you've done."
Okay.
So by February of 1983...
Yep, we're down the road a little bit here.
The threats had escalated even further. The letter writer had been leaving signs up, mostly along Mary's bus route, and Ron used to take them down before his wife could see them before he died. So he was like trying to be a nice guy.
Wouldn't they just monitor the bus route, like the cops?
We're going to get to it.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you would think that.
Yeah.
Because this is not the first time they've left signs.
If the signs are like continually popping up, just have people along the bus route. Anyway.
Yeah, Southern Ohio. It's not like they have a lot going on.
They probably don't have a lot of cops, though, either. So
that's true. Yeah, like Norval just rents cops.
And her like bus route might be like, it could be like 40 miles long. Like you can't have someone every 2 miles. There's not enough like cops for that.
No, there really isn't. And and at this point, no one's...
And there's not like security cameras on every house like there is now.
And back in the 80s, no one took stalking and threats seriously.
I don't know, 1,000 letters to a small town, they probably start...
That might be an exaggerated claim. It's more like into the hundreds.
Still.
Yeah.
Like if you're... Yeah. Anywho.
Well, God, look at Norval. They rent cops from us, and we have like 3 cops. And we have to rent cops from Jackson. Like, small towns in the Midwest, if you're going to do, drug trafficking, here's the place to do it.
I suppose.
Anyway, just ask Al Capone. He used to run rum through here all the time.
Right.
So in February of 1983, things had escalated again. That morning, while picking up kids, Mary had spotted a sign written in the Circleville Letters like unsettling capitalized block, handwriting.
These are good handwritten signs.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's the 80s.
Yeah.
They don't really have like Xerox machines. Yeah, no. So
boy, this circle jerk is ordering a lot of signs. Sorry.
That's his name too. Just Circle, last name Jerk.
Yeah.
You are Mr. Jerk.
Yeah. On his Vistaprint username.
So, this sign blatantly threatened her now 13-year-old daughter. So having had enough, Mary exited the bus, went up to the sign that was attached to a fence post and pulled it down. Along with the sign came an additional post, a string, and a box.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say bomb.
No.
Okay.
Mary brought the box home, opened it, and found a .25 caliber handgun inside with the string attached to the trigger.
Oh, so it's supposed to shoot her when she took it down?
Yes, but she just ripped it down too hastily.
Oh, so
and it didn't pull properly.
Okay.
But it was supposed to. Yeah. And the serial number of the gun had been, quote, amateurishly filed off.
Okay.
It was referred to as such multiple times.
Yeah.
Amateurishly filed off.
Okay, gotcha.
Not professionally.
No, they heard you're supposed to do that, so they tried, but their file probably sucked. They used like a nail file.
Yeah, from the dollar store. They're like, this isn't working. And it would have fired at Mary if she had pulled the sign on the right way. So she rushed it to the Circleville police. Mm-hmm. She's like, hey, here's some evidence.
Yep.
So the Circleville police then enlisted the help of the Ohio Bureau of Investigation, who was able to pull the serial number off the gun and trace it.
Their name is Obi, by the way.
Juan Kenobi?
Yes. Your only hope, Obi. Hope, Obi. Yeah, you know what I meant.
You're my only hope, Obi-Wan Kenobi. So, So they were able to pull the serial number off the gun and trace it back to Paul Freshour.
Isn't that some sort of relative?
That's the brother-in-law.
Okay.
Yep. So at this point,
when you said his full name, I got concerned.
Yeah. So that was the first. That was
you're like Karen Sue, blah blah blah, Paul Freshour, and I was like, weird. I'll keep that in mind.
You still forgot who he was, though. You're like, that name's important.
I knew well, you said like 7 relatives or whatever, and sister-in-laws and brothers, and I didn't know shit about shit.
So at this point in time, Paul had started going through a nasty divorce from his wife, Karen.
Okay.
Who was left with nothing. She was left with nothing.
Okay.
He got everything. So she was living in a trailer and was forcing their 3 children to choose between her and their father. There was no like split custody. It was like me or him. You choose him, you're dead to me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That seems...
I wonder why they're getting a divorce.
Yeah. That seems like good parental skills, instincts.
Yeah, there's clearly got some good cooperation going on in their marriage. Communication.
Yeah, you really want to cut your kids off. Yep. Anywho.
So the police brought the attention of the booby trap to Paul, who cooperated. What's up?
Nothing.
No,
I wasn't expecting you to pull out booby trap right
that's what
there.
it was.
That's great.
It was a booby trap.
I'm still a 12-year-old. You say booby, it's going to make me like laugh a little. Yeah.
Booby.
Trap.
I've told you about my YMCA camp story, right? With the teenagers that I corrupted.
Oh, the blue-footed booby?
Yes. Yeah, we had to... side story, real quick. I was photographing at a youth Christian camp, and they're like senior kids. They go do this big thing at the end of their big 6-week-long camp where they have to like split up into teams. They have a big competition. They have to make a mascot based on a color. The boys naturally drew the color blue, and I followed them off to take photographs while they were trying to figure out what their plan was for their their big long competition. And they have to pick a mascot that's an animal. And they were like, what animal are we going to pick that's blue? And me, instead of being like, I don't know, a whale, went, oh yeah, did you guys know there's a bird called the blue-footed booby? So,
and they were all about it.
Yeah, they wound up making a big sign, and they marched up like they're all excited. And I had wandered off at this point away to go take photos someplace else. And then we all met, and there's just a group of teenage boys at a Christian camp just shouting, blue-footed booby. I was like, oh shit. Needless to say, I didn't do that again.
I wasn't asked to come back.
Yeah. I don't know why. So,
hard to put that together.
Yeah. So Paul, after he was informed of the booby trap, he cooperated fully with the investigators. He was brought in for a handwriting analysis where Sheriff Radcliffe sat the Circleville Letters in front of Paul and told him to copy them as closely as he possibly could.
Okay. Never heard that technique before.
So then Sheriff Radcliffe took them away from Paul and had Paul write them out as Radcliffe read them to him.
Okay.
And so Paul then agreed to a search of his car and his home, where he told the officers where he kept his gun in the garage, which was naturally missing.
Yep.
But Paul said that it was stolen weeks before.
Okay.
And then Paul failed his polygraph test.
Dun, dun, dun.
And so Paul was arrested for attempted murder, despite having a solid alibi for that Monday that Mary found the booby trap sign again.
Okay.
So at the trial, Paul's boss told the court that Paul was off work that day in question, despite the fact that there were several witnesses that testified that Paul was at home most of the day due to work, like a work crew doing repairs on his house.
Okay.
So there were people that saw him. They were like, no, bro.
But he could have planted the box early in the morning.
We're going to get to it.
Okay. I'm just saying, it's not a bulletproof alibi.
No.
You like my choice of words?
Pun intended.
Yes.
Unlike that sign, clearly bulletproof.
Here, puns are always very heavy-handed. Yes.
So, despite being on trial for attempted murder and not being the Circleville letter writer, and despite objections from the defense, The judge allowed, because this was not a trial to the for the Circleville Letters. This was trial for attempted murder.
Okay, just
Two
solely.
separate. Yes. Okay. Despite all that, the judge still allowed 39 Circleville Letters to be submitted as evidence.
Okay.
Yep. Even though the letter writer was still unproven.
All right.
Yeah. So the court was also allowed Mary to testify that she was sus of Paul all along, and that one of the biggest clinchers was Karen. She testified that she knew for a fact that the letter writer was her husband.
Of course, the divorced, one who's about to get nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Paul had a big house. He had a master's degree. He worked for Anheuser-Busch.
Okay,
yeah.
So he's going to be fine, and after the divorce.
He took it all, and she was living in a trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And if he goes to jail...
Yeah.
Yeah.
She probably still won't get it all, but still.
She'll get something.
Yeah.
So according to Karen, she had found torn up remnants of an unsent letter addressed to Mary in their toilet. And when she had managed to get all of it, it was, in the toilet because he didn't flush it.
Yeah.
And when she managed to scoop it out and put the piece of the letter all back together, she saw the name Gillespie in it. Gillespie? Gillespie.
Okay.
Gillespie on it. And she claims that she also found unsent letters around their house.
Okay.
So when she discovered these letters, she went to the police, but when asked about the physical evidence, she said she didn't have the letters because she threw them away.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of getting back on Paul's side now. I feel like maybe his gun was stolen.
So she had also told the police that after Ron's death, Paul hated Mary for the entire, quote, Massey deal.
Okay.
Yeah. So the biggest clincher, though, was two handwriting experts. One was originally for the defense, testifying that the handwriting on the letters matched the handwriting samples collected from Paul.
Okay.
Because he was told to copy it.
Yeah.
Exactly how it was.
No, that's a good way to make it look exactly how it was.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
So Paul was sentenced to 7 to 25 years in prison in Lima, Ohio. Lima?
Is it Lima? I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
I think it's Lima.
Not Columbus.
Lima's Peru. Lima might be Ohio. You might be right there.
The important part
Yep.
is that it's not Columbus. Because despite being in prison, the letters kept coming.
Oh, that's weird.
Mm-hmm. And all of them were still postmarked from Columbus.
Okay.
200 miles away from Lima.
All right.
Mm-hmm. So.
It sounds like he wasn't the one doing those.
You'd think. So, look, it's just crazy.
Okay.
So the prisoners didn't allow Paul to have, the prison didn't allow Paul to have any pens or paper.
Mm-hmm.
They would constantly keep him in solitary confinement. And every letter coming in and going out of the prison was checked.
Yep.
Paul even received a letter himself.
It's like Umbridge up in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're checking everything.
And they have little cats on plates running around checking on everybody.
Yep.
So it's all pink, nice and soft and settling, just to calm everybody's anger.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, no, I would just...
Can you imagine that? There's a locker room in the Big Ten. We've had this discussion before.
Have we?
In Iowa.
Really?
I think it's Iowa.
Sure.
Where the visitors' locker room is all pink.
Why?
Just to be a nuisance. I don't know.
Just to be a nuisance.
Just
emasculate the football players.
Just they come out all soft and fuzzy. Yeah.
Yeah, because they had pink.
Yeah.
Such a effeminate color.
Yeah.
Turn them into a bunch of pussies. Sorry.
Pussies.
Which are also pink. It's appropriate.
I see what you did there.
So, Paul, he even received a letter himself.
Oh, did he?
Yes. It said, fresh hour. Now when you are going to believe you aren't, with no apostrophes, getting out of there. When are you going to believe you aren't getting out of there? I told you 2 years ago when we set them up, they stay set up. And after, so that was the letter. It blatantly said, we set you up.
Yep.
So after a few years, Paul tried to get let out on parole, and even though he was a model prisoner and was told so, he was not allowed out because the guards and the parole board were convinced that he was still somehow getting letters out of the prison into people.
Okay.
Yep.
There's no way his gun was just stolen out of his garage. right? No, that'd be too easy.
He has a son.
Okay.
It's a small town.
Okay. We're getting back to it.
We'll get to it.
Okay, good.
We'll get to theories.
Oh, is this unsolved?
What?
I'm just saying, if these people are, whoever's sending the letters, if they know where all these people live, they're obviously in the neighborhood frequently, like putting up signs and stalking and shit, then, and there's a crew there working on his house when this happens, it'd be very easy for a gun to come up missing. Which seems pretty reasonable, but whatever.
Yeah.
They're desperate. They just need someone on the news to say that they caught somebody.
Yes. Well, no, that's a good point. That's a really good point that was never brought up. If there was multiple people around the house that the gun was stolen from, it would be... He said this was stolen weeks ago, though.
That's true.
But then again, if you have teenage kids, you got lots of people coming in and out of your house.
Yeah. Or you just live in a suburb. You just leave your garage open sometime. Yeah.
Yeah. When you live in small towns, you're
and
not
if you
like,
have
lock it up
teenage kids,
tight.
if you have a small town with teenage kids, you probably don't lock all your, like, you don't lock your garage.
No.
Anyway. Not in Podunky, Ohio, if it's anything like Podunky, Michigan.
Yeah, exactly. So, the warden, despite the parole board and like all the guards and stuff being like, somehow he's still delivering these letters, the warden was convinced of Paul's innocence, even writing a letter to his ex-wife declaring so. So after 10 years, Paul was finally let out of prison and the letters stopped. Paul,
Okay.
So, and Paul proclaimed his innocence until the day he died in 2012.
Okay.
But we're not done.
Naturally.
Nope.
The letters are still coming.
No. No. As Paul was being released from prison, Unsolved Mysteries decides to cover the story of the Circleville letter writer.
Okay.
So a few months before the episode aired in December of 1993, Robert Stack, the host, received his own letter stating, "Forget Circleville, Ohio. Do nothing to hurt Sheriff Radcliffe. If you come to Ohio, you El Sickos will pay."
El Sickos?
The Circleville, writer. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
They're so cool.
All right.
Yep.
Like is that like Spanish?
No. I mean, they're trying to affect a Spanglish situation here, but yeah.
All right.
So, yeah. But Robert Stack was like, I don't give a fuck. And Unsolved Mysteries went ahead and did it anyway. They even mentioned in the show.
letter?
Yeah. No, in the show, they were like, and we received our own letter, but we didn't care. Pretty much. Fearless journalism.
Since this person has threatened hundreds of people and never gone through, we're calling his bluff as well.
Yes. Maybe not never gone through. We don't really know how Ron died.
True.
Because Sheriff Radcliffe said it was foul play and then changed his mind. Because somebody passed their polygraph.
True.
test.
But also make sure nothing bad happens to Sheriff Radcliffe.
Nothing bad happens to Sheriff Radcliffe.
I know, but why would they put that in the letter to the Unsolved Mysteries guy?
Right.
That's just really weird to be like, don't come here and don't you do anything bad to our sheriff. Huh?
Yeah.
That seems weird. Mm-hmm. The one guy
and super
continually
suspicious.
chasing you down and
and no one's ever been caught for 18
failing.
years.
Yeah, the one guy that keeps looking for you and failing, you want to protect him.
Yeah.
That's a little suspicious.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Allegedly.
Yeah. We're just spitfiring here.
Yep. I thought it was suspicious too.
I hope Sheriff Radcliffe's first name is Daniel. That's all I want.
It's not. It's Dwight, I think.
It's close.
Yes, it's Dwight. I'm pretty sure it's Dwight.
Yeah.
Dwight Radcliffe. He's probably got a shitty mustache.
Hopefully.
So, Paul agreed to be interviewed for the episode.
Oh, this is in his chunk when he was out. Okay, yep.
Yeah. Like the letter sent to Unsolved Mysteries was like one of the last letters that got sent.
Okay.
So there were also a few others that decided to interview for the episode as well. And Karen Sue decided that it was her job to be a nosy Nelly. According to a close family friend, her name was Pam, she considered Ron a second father. She had received a phone call.
Okay.
Don't know who from. telling her that it was in her best interest not to give an interview for the show. And according to Pam, Karen would stake out where the show was being shot, sitting across the intersection, taking photos of everyone that came and went.
Well, yeah, because the killer's going to come to the show.
She was just keeping track.
Yeah, because the killer's going to come and, like, see what's going on.
Oh, no, she didn't make it quiet about...
Taking pictures?
Yeah, and, like, her disdain for the show being there. She's like, this is horrible. I hate this all.
This is going to be one of those things where it's going to come out that they finally figure out who it is, and he's going to be in the background of one of the footage things. Like, he's going to be... Like
Exorcist style?
Yeah, like, they're going to show, like, a street view, like, pan, and there's going to be, like, 50 people, and he's going to be one of the faces in the crowd, just, like, and you're going to see him be like, of course it is.
I think the Zodiac was like that, where they're pouring through all the photos and stuff at town meetings. We all know it's Ted Cruz. Sorry. And so one of those interviewees was an investigative reporter named Martin Yant. So he decided to do a little digging himself. Mm-hmm. Martin found a tidbit of information in the police reports that was never brought to trial. So there was a lead from another bus driver who had been traveling along the same route as Mary's bus 20 minutes before.
And saw someone putting up a sign?
In the exact same spot that the booby trap was found. She saw a man standing outside of a yellow El Camino.
Pretty distinct vehicle.
Yeah. He's a little inconspicuous.
Yeah.
So when the bus approached,
El Sicko. Ooh, see,
we don't know. He could have had a nickname for his car,
right? Well, no, he's like El Camino, El Sicko. See,
just dropping little bread crumbs for everybody.
Yep.
So when the bus approached, he turned and looked away, pretending to be peeing by his car, conveniently hiding his face.
And now you have indecent exposure, sir.
It was the 80s.
Yeah, I don't care.
So the bus driver told the police that he was a tall man with sandy hair, which is the exact opposite of Paul, who was a short man with dark brown hair.
Yep. And doesn't drive a yellow El Camino.
No. He has a master's degree. Ain't nobody driving an El Camino with a master's degree.
They might.
Nah, they got like...
It's the
Pontiacs.
80s. They were fun back then. They were weird.
Yeah.
People thought PT Cruisers were cool at one point, all right? So...
Oh my God, PT Cruisers are the early 2000s versions of the El Camino.
Oh, that's kind of ugly. I think we should get one.
Yeah. Oh God, what were those awful trucks that they tried to make more aerodynamic in the early 2000s that were like all rounded and gross?
Yeah, I don't remember what they were called. And they're like, they only came in the color purple.
Yes. Yeah. Barney purple.
Yes.
It was offensive.
Yep.
For every sense involved.
Yep. Mm-hmm. They smell horrible too.
Yes. Yeah, it's a car. Ew. So he had, she saw the El Camino.
Tall blonde guy.
Yeah, tall blonde guy.
Yep.
Gets better. Karen Sue's brother, who was one of the three people that knew right at the beginning, had
a yellow El Camino.
And Karen had also allegedly started dating a guy who fit the description of tall with sandy hair.
Okay.
Coincidence?
Probably not.
Probably. Wild speculation.
Yeah.
So there was a myriad of other theories and speculation, some supported by evidence and some not. Some people speculated that Paul was set up by a vindictive ex-wife, which...
Yeah.
There's a lot of,
kind of, easy to connect those dots. Just
Sunny, the Philadelphia meme where you got like the red.
Yeah.
Just
the
tape
yarn
and line
going through.
Yeah. Just like, this and the yellow Camino and the brother and the sandy hair. So, most people don't because like she's still alive. I don't want to get sued. And like I told you before, this is, really popular
topic.
Topic. Georgia from MFM did a drunk history episode on the Circleville Letters, and the writer for one article did not like Georgia and Karen's theory about how it was probably Mary herself getting like all the local gossip from kids on the bus. Yeah, you could tell that she was like kind of snarky about the conclusion about how like there's been no known follow-ups. It's like, ooh,
right?
Sorry, salt in your wounds. And then Martin Yant has suggested the investigative
Yeah.
reporter, had suggested that it could have been the superintendent's son
Okay.
or a coworker who was infatuated with Mary. And obviously we discussed the possibility that it could have been Karen.
Mm-hmm.
And then during a roundtable discussion between a podcaster and a 48-hour journalist named Mary Mayhew, who did investigations into like John Benet Ramsey and the Green River Killer.
Okay.
Yep. Told you we'd get to it.
Yep.
And like there were several other people, like Pam was in it. There was people that knew Paul and Martin Yant. The idea that it could have been Karen and Paul's son was floated around. And this was hinging on the guilt that the son felt to have never like done anything with his father when he was in jail. He didn't visit him. He chose to his mother's side, had nothing to do with his dad. And it was obviously an issue that like Paul had too.
Yeah.
And so there's speculation that his son felt guilty after his father went to jail, and then he completed suicide a few years later.
After his dad got out?
Yeah. He was like 39 when he completed suicide.
So is that about the time the letter stopped?
You know, I have no idea.
Because I would want to know, like, people within, like, 2 degrees of separation that died within, like, the time the letter stopped.
The letter stopped in like 94.
So I would start
So
there.
if his son was 39,
okay.
that math doesn't make sense because it happened in 76.
Okay.
And he was a teenager in 76. It might
so
make
in
sense.
94, he's 18 years older. So he'd be, like, potentially.
Yeah, I don't know when what
I
year
don't
he
know.
killed himself in.
I don't know either.
Curiouser and curiouser.
Okay.
I should have gotten more dates.
All
That's
the dates.
wild speculation, but
Right.
that's really good wild speculation. Because they didn't go into why they thought that. They were just like, the relationship was super strained after his dad went to jail for attempted murder. Like,
It's weird that they would start with the letters to Mary about the Massey affair when, like, his parents weren't directly connected to that yet. Like,
yeah.
Like, that seems like a weird place to start to end up there.
Unless he's just an angry teenager who's like chaotic evil.
Maybe.
You know?
Maybe.
Look,
I don't know.
there's a lot of lead in things in the 70s.
Well, and that kid goes to school, so he might have seen some stuff.
Or heard some stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that would be an easy explanation. Like if Karen and Georgia were like, oh, it was probably her and she heard all the gossip from the kids on the school bus.
Yeah.
Why couldn't he also hear gossip as a kid going to school?
Right?
Curious. Anyway, and while 48 Hours was involved, they pulled in Beverly East, who is an independent handwriting expert. They also did this in 2021, so this is like a really recent review
Okay.
of the case. So this independent handwriting expert who had previously scoured through separate handwriting samples from Paul that did not come from the like copy and paste situation at the sheriff's department. She determined, based off of the unique ways that his G's were written, that Paul himself really was the letter writer.
Okay.
Despite Mary Ellen O'Toole, who was a profiler for 48 Hours, she also poured through the letters to create a profile and came to the conclusion that the letter writer may have been a woman and someone who was increasingly enjoying the terror that they held over the town. Mm-hmm. And so the letter writer was also an intimidating person, most likely a bully,
Okay.
with either a lower IQ or a lower education level, which Paul has the master's degree.
Yes.
And that whoever set the booby trap was probably a copycat taking advantage of the letter situation because she didn't think that the letter writer would want to risk exposing themselves because they were having too much fun terrorizing the town.
True.
Sound like anybody we know who's a big fat asshole who would terrorize and bully people?
Huh?
Karen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I thought you meant like in our lives. I was
No.
like, who are you talking
in
to?
the story.
Who are you about to publicly shame on the podcast?
Yes. Fuck all of you people.
Right?
No, I'm just kidding. No, because Karen was a big Karen.
Yeah.
Applicable. And she, like intimidated her kids and stuff. So I just thought that was,
Potentially.
yeah.
Intriguing.
Fun. Yeah. Little information. And so, like you guessed, The case remains unsolved, although Sheriff Radcliffe said the case was closed.
I hate unsolved.
Yep.
And so Sheriff Radcliffe thinks it's Paul still?
No, Sheriff Radcliffe. Yeah, yes, I think Sheriff
But
Radcliffe.
he's
definitely.
like, the letter stopped. We did it.
Yay! Well, they were more concerned about getting Paul off the streets for his attempted murder, and no one was ever tried or really truly investigated past like.
I want to know if the
polygraphs.
son left a suicide note and how it was written.
I'm sure that would have come to light if
Maybe.
maybe they haven't found it yet.
Unless it was a note saying, "Stop, Mom.
Yeah, stop being a cunt, Mom.
Stop sending letters."
And
Maybe it wasn't suicide. Maybe it was his mom.
Dun dun dun.
Sorry, let's keep spiraling down this.
It's wild speculation.
Yes.
No one sue us. Karen Sue's probably dead.
You can sue us for everything this podcast has. Good luck.
Yeah. Yes. You won't get much.
No.
So Paul died knowing that, even though he insisted upon his innocence, he was still guilty in the court of Circleville's public opinion. And that is the case of Circleville's
Jerk.
letter writer. Circleville's jerk. Letter writer.
Yes.
So I know
Okay.
you love a good unsolved.
I do not.
It's been a while since I've done one.
Yeah, I haven't heard of this. And I feel like it's probably because it's not like one of those names. It's not like a super famous serial killer or
Right.
anything. It's
yeah,
more
it's not
like
Ted Bundy or
and
Richard
it's
Ramirez.
and like Zodiac
vampire.
had his letters and all that, but there was also like tangible,
which they've deciphered. They've deciphered.
I know,
Okay.
but there's also like there's like a body count.
Yeah.
This is more like
This
Could've
person's
been-
dead, we don't know.
Yeah.
This person's dead, we don't know.
Ron
this person tried to
Ron
get...
could have been like, hey, I'm gonna go potentially murder someone, and like slammed a fifth like heading down his driveway, and it could have been like very heavy on his breath still, like when they did like all the toxicology, or like he could have consumed a shit ton of it in a very short period of time.
Yeah.
And been like swigging bottle up and then boom, hit a tree.
That's true.
Yeah.
They
he
never
could-
say if they found a bottle, but they easily could have...
Yeah, he could have just been
thrown it out of the window
chugging it.
anyway.
Yeah, he could have just been
And
trying
we-
to get drunk
and we
because
know
he's going to go
investigations.
confront someone with a gun, with a gun in his hand.
Yeah, with intent, because he's literally,
Yeah.
at this point, threatening to murder their child. Mm-hmm. If
Yeah.
I knew who it was,
Yeah, but I'm saying he might have
it
like
wouldn't end well.
if he's not a drinker
Yeah.
and he was like,
Get that liquid courage.
yeah. Anyway,
And just yeeted it somewhere out the window. You know
Yeah.
that cops back in the 70s and 80s aren't really doing much of an investigation. They're just doing what they can.
yeah,
You know, trampling all over the scene and losing evidence.
he could have drank it at home too, and his daughter
Didn't know.
just might have not realized. Yeah, that
Yeah.
he was just like,
Because she's just a teenager at this point.
yeah. And if he's not a big drinker, then she's not around it all the time to like notice. Anyway,
Sources. Unsolved Mysteries, Season 7, Episode 6, unsolvedmysteries.fandom.com, entry about the Circleville letter writer, CBSNews.com article has the anonymous author of the infamous Circleville letters been unmasked, and a dispatch.com article, 48 hours episode on CBS reveals who experts think wrote the mysterious Circleville letters. And those
Okay.
are my sources.
good sources.
Yep. Hopefully that wasn't too meandering.
No, I think it was just as meandering as people expect out of us.
Perfect.
Right in our meander wheelhouse.
I probably have undiagnosed ADHD, but you know, whatever. In case
Meander
you guys
wheel-
hadn't picked up on that by now.
Meander wheelhouse sounds a little innuendo-y.
I'll meander your wheelhouse.
Yeah, now it's just creepy. Anyway, thanks for listening. We
And you-
appreciate it.
And if you've made it this far,
Congratulations.
appreciate it.
Also, we need to get an air conditioner up in here. It is hotter than shit.
It's going to be fall soon.
I don't care.
It's going to plummet to like negative 34 in 5 months. It'll be
roasty
fine.
toasty up in this bitch. Anyway, thanks for listening.
Yes.
We'll be back next week. We're doing these weekly for the foreseeable future.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Unless we get sued by who knows.
That's true. And you're
I'm just kidding. We're not going to
in
get
like
sued.
a
No one
month.
gives a shit.
You're leaving for a weekend, so that's going to cause a big old wrench. We got to double up one of these weeks.
Ah, shit.
Ah, shit. Anyway, thanks for
I
listening.
got to go be like a real
We're going to
business
go
person.
schedule our lives
Great.
every minute.
I'm so excited.
Good. Thanks for listening.
Yes, thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye. Oof, that was terrible. Thanks for listening to our terrible podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or wherever you like to listen. Feel free to follow us on Twitter at TMSTPod.
And if you'd like to support the show, you can find us on Patreon at Tell Me Something Terrible.